What's up? Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm gonna talk about Tony Gilroy talking about season two. He's talking about season two of Andor, and he talks about how there's things in the Star Wars universe that he just is not very fond of. He doesn't like, and I was very critical of season one. I was very critical about it. I have a video coming up where I kind of rewrite the season one, and I kind of give ideas and examples of what a better story could have been for Andor. But let's discuss what he says about season two. I really don't think there should be another season of Andor. I think that if there's going to be another season with anything with Andor, he should be a secondary character, and the main story should be on the early days of the rebellion. Focus more on characters like Luthen, Saw Gerrera, and Mon Mothma. Have her actually doing something, moving around the galaxy, just getting people ready and motivating people to start this rebellion against the evil empire. So this article is brought to you by StarWarsNews.net, and basically Tony Gilroy is being asked about why aren't there that many aliens in Andor, and that's basically a very good question, because that takes away a lot of fantasy elements of this from the show to make it feel like Star Wars. And he was saying how on Narkina 5, why isn't there that many aliens on that prison, or aliens at all? There's no aliens in that prison sequence, in that prison storyline. And he gives a couple of things why, like he tries to be logistic about it, like, oh hey, you know what, there's no aliens because then all the toilets and the restrooms, we'd have to have different versions for different aliens, different toilets for different aliens. And I don't know if he's joking around, but he's just it feels like he's dodging the question. He's just kind of joking around about it, and he's not taking it very seriously. And so the article, the writer says here how the Empire is known to be racist, and that is true. You want the Empire to be as evil as possible. So what else does it say? It says, Gilroy says that there's probably going to be more aliens in season two. Here's his quote: "It's a very strong flavor when it comes in. It's not just a visual flavor, it's a very strong character flavor. You have to deal with it politically. We will have more, and we'll have them in the appropriate places. We try and pick our shots and make them cool, I guess." He just seems kind of dry about it. He doesn't really seem like he cares, which just shows a lot. Like, this doesn't sound like somebody that's enthusiastic about Star Wars. This doesn't sound like somebody that really cares about getting it right. It doesn't sound like he cares at all, and it just comes off in his show in season one of Andor. Another tidbit here from this article is that they're saying in Narkina 5, where the prison is located for the prison storyline, they probably keep all the humans in Narkina 5, and they mention Narkina 2, where they probably keep all the aliens. But that, and then even the writer's kind of going along with it, with Gilroy's thoughts and statements about what he thinks it should be. And the writer here just seems to be all just kind of like shilling for Gilroy and this show. And what is really the problem here is that you don't do that. That sounds more like a science fiction thing than a fantasy thing, than a Star Wars thing. You don't separate the aliens from the humans. At that point, you start making it too science fiction-y, and you start asking all these questions like why? In the original George Lucas movies, you see aliens among the humans in all kinds of environments, even in the Clone Wars. So I don't think it matters. I think that you needed to have aliens there in the prison storyline. It would have made things a lot more interesting, a lot less boring to have aliens, and maybe Andor could have befriended one of them, and one of them could have helped Andor, and vice versa, escape the prison, fight against all those guards inside the prison. So I think that they're just overthinking it. They're making it. They're not thinking in a way that Star Wars would work. George Lucas, if he would have had anything to do with this, he would have said no. Add the aliens. That will make it more interesting, and then you could probably even care about one of them, one of the alien creatures. Maybe it's a Rhodian, an Ithorian, or something. I'm just thinking about on the top of my mind alien species names. So a Bith, you know, like the ones from the Cantina Singers, the Cantina band. So it could be any of those kind of aliens that you could have here, but they didn't want to. They're saying, oh, you know what, our excuse is that maybe on Narkina 2 they were there, not on Narkina 5. They separate them for some kind of reasons, sanitary reasons or something. I just call BS on that. I think that's kind of stupid. You just should have had them there in the Star Wars universe. You don't have to overthink it too much as if it's science fiction. You just have to kind of follow what George Lucas did and what his intent was. In the humans, they see alien creatures, these alien humanoids all the time, and it's just normal for them. And they're not like, unless it's like Luke Skywalker or somebody that hasn't gone off world and hasn't explored the galaxy or anything like that, and suddenly they see all kinds of alien humanoids they never seen, and they're like, whoa, kind of like that moment when Luke Skywalker entered the cantina in the first movie, and he was like, wow, I never seen all these kind of alien humanoids before. That obviously can exist in the Star Wars universe, people like that. But other than that, most of the time, humans and alien humanoids, they're just like kind of just living amongst each other, and they don't really, it's normal for them. So that's the way that it should have been portrayed in that prison storyline in Andor. It says that filming is going to start in the UK in August of next year. So, and then with the release of 2024, so they're going to start shooting next year. Right now, they're probably in pre-production, just kind of conceptualizing things and everything like that. Just hearing this doesn't make me that excited, especially after we got what we got in season 1. I hope that, Bob Iger is back at Disney. I hope that somehow Bob Iger just sees the state of the company, because it's really bad, the state of Lucasfilm and the Star Wars brand, and he just puts a stop to all this. Or, I mean, I'm still interested in seeing something of the early days of the rebellion, but not in the way that they handled it in Andor, or how they, or with this showrunner guy, Tony Gilroy, not with this person. I hope that, if anything, that they just kind of go back to the drawing board and do something that feels more war-like, more like those old classic Hollywood war films where there's a lot of strategy, a lot of great characters, and yes, a lot of action, because this is Star Wars. You want to have a lot of action, but all of that well written, and the action is written in a way where the protagonists are put under pressure and they have to make a choice to see if they're heroes or cowards. And we're gonna see, and it just shows true character for them. That's the way that you write action. That's the way they make action exciting. You do exciting action sequences that move the story forward, and it's exciting, and it develops the characters within those action sequences. That's the way you want to build action. That's the way that action is rewatchable, is iconic, and is memorable. And countless of great movies like Raiders of the Lost Ark, the early Terminator films, Back to the Future, and so forth. Those films are just rewatchable countless times, because the action is part of the story and so forth. It's not fluff like today with movies like the Fast and the Furious or all the Marvel stuff that's been coming out. It's not like that. It actually has a heart to it. It has a point to it, and it's a DNA of these movies. And this is what they should do with the season 2 of this. They should basically make it more exciting, more like a war show, like something like Band of Brothers or something like that. Andor season 1 was far from any of what I just mentioned. It was just really bad. Another thing, I don't think it shows it in this article, but basically Gilroy said that season 2 is going to be divided in years. This is going to be set about 4 years before Rogue One. The first season was 5 years, so it's going to be a year later. And basically, I think they're going to be counting down the years every 3 episodes until they get close to Rogue One. So that's the idea. I think the potential for this is going to be that the season 2 is going to feel like it chronicles of the beginning of the rebellion. I really hope Andor takes a step back as a secondary character, as a supporting character, and we get more interesting storylines. Maybe we can have Hera Syndulla from Star Wars Rebels come out in this. We could probably have maybe even Ahsoka can be in this as Fulcrum. We could probably have something really exciting here. We could have a lot of cameos here. We can have Vader, Tarkin. I think Tarkin could show up definitely in this. So we could have a lot of cool stuff here. I hope that they really rethink what happened with season 1, which was a whole season dedicated to a character that is not very interesting, is probably one of the most uninteresting characters ever created for Star Wars. Not the worst character, but not one of the most exciting. And he has a lot of qualities that you can probably find in a better written way in Han Solo, Lando Calrissian, Dash Rendar from the old EU, Kyle Katarn. All those characters are way better written and more interesting than Cassian Andor. Cassian Andor has some interesting elements in Rogue One, but I think it ended there. You didn't need a whole 12-episode, multi-million-dollar series just for his backstory. That was, I think, one of the biggest mistakes that they made, that Lucasfilm has made. Just make a whole show for this guy that I'm pretty sure is not going to be very rewatchable. It's not for me. and it's not something that people are going to be fond of years from now. Like, remember that show about Andor, how amazing it was and how interesting he is? And what about that guy that was trying to catch him, and we always saw him eating cereal, and his mom was basically ruling his life and all these things. It was just so silly and stupid, and nobody's gonna go back and remember Andor like that in that way or anything, because that's basically what it was. There was nothing else to it but all of that which I just described. So I hope that season 2 is going to be something that's going to be far more exciting, more epic, and more in tune with the fantasy and exciting elements of Star Wars. So that's going to be the video. I just want to talk about this article and what's coming up for season 2 of this show, and what Tony Gilroy basically says about Star Wars. And it just shows that he doesn't really care. He's not that excited about it. He is kind of very indifferent about it. And he's like, oh, you know what? I guess we can have aliens. It's what people want. Everybody's complaining. It just feels like he is adding aliens now in season 2 because people are complaining. People don't like his version of Star Wars, which is not very Star Wars. And I think he's kind of resentful. It comes off with his interviews and what I've heard about him, that he's resentful with Star Wars and Star Wars fans. That's gonna do it for the video. Hit that like button if you like this video. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more Star Wars movie content, analysis, reviews, and cinema analysis, reviews, and trailer reactions on this channel. I'd appreciate it. In the meantime, I'll see you guys next time, and may the Force be with you.